Good evening. The winter session of Parliament begins Monday, and as a prelude to the smooth conduct of proceedings, there was an all-party meeting tonight. So what can we expect when Parliament convenes Monday? That's going to be top of the news tonight. I'm Zaka Jacob. These are the headlines. Lok Sabha Speaker Sumitra Mahajan calls for an all-party meet ahead of the winter session of Parliament, which starts Monday. A host of important bills are ready to come up for discussion, more than 60 of them. A war of words on the campaign trail. Narendra Modi tears into the National Conference and the People's Democratic Party for promoting dynastic politics. Omar Abdullah responds by saying that the people of Kashmir will give the Prime Minister a fitting reply. Reactions are pouring in for Barack Obama's visit to India for the Republic Day celebrations in January. Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, though, wants him to take up the Kashmir issue. It's a race against time for Iran and the six global powers who are hoping to seek a final agreement on Iran's controversial nuclear program, the deadline for which is Monday. And the Indian cricket team leaves for Australia. In the absence of MS Dhoni, Virat Kohli will be the captain for the first Test match. Lok Sabha Speaker Sumitra Mahajan called an all-party meet this evening to ensure smooth functioning of what is going to be a month-long winter session of Parliament. The session begins Monday. The meeting was called in a bid to identify issues which various parties want to raise during the session. A total of 67 bills are pending in Parliament. 59 of them are in the upper house, the Rajya Sabha, 8 in the Lok Sabha. 40 bills are estimated to be ready for introduction, while over 2 dozen are likely to be passed. The focus is on politically sensitive legislations like the Land Acquisition Bill, for example, the Insurance Laws Amendment Bill, and of course, there is the big Goods and Services Tax Amendment Bill, which needs to be taken up. So our correspondent Rajkamal Rao has been tracking developments at this all-party meeting. He's now joining us live on the news tonight. Raj, just bring us up to speed with what are the concerns that various political parties mentioned to the Speaker as issues and bills that they would like to take up for discussion when the session begins.
Zaka, the discussions have officially concluded, but the leaders have now moved for the official dinner offered by the Lok Sabha Speaker Sumitra Mahajan. We have been gathering information about the meeting that was held today. The meeting was largely focused on legislative business. The BJP wants to move certain bills in Lok Sabha, but Lok Sabha they enjoy a certain majority, but Rajya Sabha is going to be the tumbling block. Because it was a meeting called by Lok Sabha Speaker, the issue was related to the bills that the government is planning to introduce in this particular session. As you have mentioned, there are 60 plus bills are pending, and Rajya Sabha has the largest share of these bills. So government wants a smoother passage of these bills in Lok Sabha because they enjoy enormous support. But apart from that, there are several parliamentary standing committees where every political party has representation. In those standing committees, Congress, Left and Trinamool Congress have been raising issues on the bills that they have objection to, especially GST and Insurance Laws Amendment Bill, which is with the Select Committee of Rajya Sabha, have been a concern for all these parties. They have raised similar issues, including giving more powers to ASPA, and the issues relating to Jharkhand and Kashmir also raised. But largely it was limited to the focus of this government to push crucial legislations.
And already, even before the session's begun, we've got a discordant note from the Trinamool Congress. As I understand, they will not be attending the second leg of this all-party meeting tomorrow. They've already put out an opposition to the government's plans to increase the FDI cap in insurance. Walk us through what the Trinamool, its basic concerns are, and what kind of resonance is the Trinamool able to get with other political parties in the upper house, particularly where the government does not have a majority.
Insurance Laws Amendment Bill and especially Goods and Services Tax Amendments and Land Acquisition. These are the three legislation where state governments have to play a crucial role. As you have mentioned, Trinamool Congress is opposing it because they are in power in West Bengal and there are elections in next one and a half or 2 years. So that becomes a crucial tumbling block for these political parties when it comes to passage of these bills in the parliament, because their focus will be on the state level. They may be opposing these legislations at the national level. Their main interest lies with the state government and the next assembly election that are due in West Bengal and other, including states like Jharkhand and Kashmir. So the TMCs blocking these issues has completely political significance. We have seen Congress, TMC and Congress coming together to form some kind of an alliance to oppose this BJP government's legislation at the parliament level. So that has been the primary focus. Even today's meeting, Left, TMC, SP, BSP, all these political parties were absent. Only NDA allies and one or two parties, including TRS and Aam Aadmi Party, only one representative from each party were there. So their opposition to the legislative process was evident even in the meeting called in by Lok Sabha Speaker today, Zaka.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Rajkamal Rao, many thanks for joining us. Our correspondent there live from Parliament, giving us the details of this all-party meeting convened by the Lok Sabha Speaker, Sumitra Mahajan. Like Raj was referring to the winter session of Parliament, which is beginning Monday. The government is planning to introduce 39 bills in this session, including some very contentious ones like the Goods and Services Tax Amendment Bill and also the Insurance Amendment Bill. Raj was referring to this a moment ago. 67 bills in all are pending approval of Parliament. From this session on, an interesting development, the timing of question hour in the upper house, that's the Rajya Sabha, has been changed. It will now start at noon instead of 11 a.m.
The government plans to introduce 39 bills during the winter session of Parliament. Among these are the amendments in the Insurance Bill, on which the Standing Committee will file its report by the end of this month. The Lokpal Amendment Bill will ensure that the leader of the largest opposition party and not the leader of opposition in the House can be part of committees to choose heads of key anti-corruption departments. The Coal Mines Special Provision Ordinance and Textiles Undertaking Amendment Ordinance will also be brought in.
No, sensitive issues only come to Parliament. So it is the duty of the Parliament to discuss and debate and decide. Whatever it is, if the other side have a strong point, they can explain it, they can insist on that, they can argue, and they can place their arguments. And government must be able to convince them during the debate. And then ultimately, after all, democracy functions through numbers also.
The opposition, on the other hand, could take up the black money issue and the issues surrounding limiting the scope of Manrega. The government says it is ready to discuss any issue on the floor of the House.
सबको विश्वास में लेकर के, सबको साथ में लेकर के और सकारात्मक सोच के साथ संसद का सत्र चले। जो जन सरोकार से जुड़े हुए सवाल हैं, देश से जुड़े हुए सवाल हैं, उनके मुद्दे हों, बिल हैं, तमाम तरह के और जो इश्यूज़ हैं, उन इश्यूज़ पर हम चर्चा के लिए भी तैयार हैं और उसका समाधान करने के लिए भी तैयार हैं।
67 bills are pending before the Parliament. Almost 11 bills of the Health and Family Welfare Ministry, including the Mental Health Care Bill, Drugs and Cosmetics Amendment Bill, and the Prevention and Control of HIV Bill, are pending, while 9 bills of the Labour and Employment Ministry, in which the Factory Amendments Bill and the Apprentices Amendment Bill are included. The winter session will have a total of 22 sittings. Shyam Sundar's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And faced with the daunting task of getting back black money which is stashed abroad, the government is now seriously contemplating a re-look at some of the bilateral tax treaties with foreign countries, which, in its opinion, may be hindering the repatriation of this money. Now, this information was given out by Finance Minister Arun Jaitley during an interaction with PTI journalists. He said that he had sent a delegation recently to Switzerland and they've come back with some positive movement. On the tax issue, Jaitley said he does not favour burdening the salaried and middle class with more taxes, but instead he would go after evaders. In fact, he also said he would encourage more money being put into the pockets of taxpayers, which will lead to spending and collection of more indirect taxes. He further added that the government is determined to get through the insurance bill passed in this upcoming winter session of Parliament. The BJP has nominated Union Ministers Chaudhry Birender Singh and Suresh Prabhu for the Rajya Sabha seats from Haryana. The two ministers who were inducted into the Union Cabinet following its expansion on the 27th of October are not members of Parliament. They are required to be one within 6 months of being appointed as ministers. The last date for filing of nominations for both these Rajya Sabha seats from Haryana is the 25th of November. Polling is likely to be held on the 5th of December. Since the BJP now enjoys absolute majority in the Haryana Assembly, it is assured of getting both these seats unopposed, helping further raise the party's strength in the upper house, where it does not have a majority. At present, the BJP has only 43 seats in the Rajya Sabha. All right, we're going to take a break here in the program. When we come back, all the political activity in the run-up to the assembly polls in Jharkhand and Jammu and Kashmir, including a war of words between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Omar Abdullah. We'll tell you what that is when the News Tonight returns. Welcome back to the News Tonight. I'm Saka Jacob. Now, with the change of guard at the centre, the process of renaming some of the central schemes bearing the names of people from the Gandhi family, that process has already begun, but the Congress party has criticised this move.
राजीव गांधी ग्रामीण विद्युतीकरण योजना चल रही है, उसको दीनदयाल उपाध्याय योजना में मर्ज करने का निर्णय किया गया है आज की कैबिनेट के द्वारा। ये 43,033 करोड़ की योजना है, जिसमें 33,453 करोड़ इसमें बजटरी सहयोग होगा इस पूरे इम्प्लीमेंटेशन योजना में।
This decision was taken by the cabinet on Thursday, though the first hint of this change was apparent in the first budget of the new government presented in July this year. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley had then proposed schemes and institutions to be named and renamed after Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya and Jayaprakash Narayan.
If they sort of start a new scheme, they can name it in anyone's leader's name, we don't mind. But to sort of change the name, I don't think it is the right thing to do. Because every government decision has to be respected by the successful government.
An RTI query in 2012 had revealed that as many as 12 central and 58 state schemes, 98 educational institutions and 51 awards are named after 3 members of the Nehru-Gandhi family. Vishal Dahiya, Rajya Sabha TV, Delhi.
Meanwhile, Congress General Secretary Digvijay Singh has once again advocated the need for Party Vice President Rahul Gandhi to take charge.
We have a Congress president in Mrs. Sonia Gandhi, who has proved to be a very successful AICC president. But yet at the same time, change is the law of nature. So therefore the younger leadership must come.
And you can watch the full interview with the Congress leader on a range of issues. To the point, it's only on Rajya Sabha TV at 3 p.m. Sunday. On the campaign trail today, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was in Jammu and Kashmir, where he addressed a rally in Kishtwar. He minced no words in attacking the 2 main regional parties of the state, that's the National Conference and the People's Democratic Party. He accused both of those parties as being symbols in the scourge of dynastic politics. He asked the voters of Kishtwar to get rid of these 2 political forces.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi asked the people of Jammu and Kashmir to vote for the BJP, saying the other parties were only running 5-year contracts alternatively to loot the state. He accused the state government of repeatedly failing to address the concerns of the people.
50 साल से आपने जम्मू कश्मीर किसके हवाले किया है? क्या पाया आप लोगों ने? जरा सवाल तो पूछिए उन लोगों को. क्या 2 परिवार ही कश्मीर पर राज करेंगे क्या? क्या यहां के नौजवानों में कोई नूर नहीं है क्या?
Talking about the state's huge potential to become one of the most developed states in the country, his party would help achieve that.
पूरी दुनिया में टूरिज्म बहुत तेजी से बढ़ रहा है. एक हम ही जम्मू कश्मीर के लोग हैं कि जहां हमारा टूरिज्म डूबता चला गया. भाइयों बहनों, आज अगर हम टूरिज्म में आगे होते तो हिंदुस्तान का सबसे धनी ये राज्य होता.
Emphasizing the need for good governance, Modi also said there was no dearth of funds for the state, but it should be utilized properly.
हर एक का साथ चाहिए और हर एक के लिए विकास चाहिए. नौजवान के लिए रोजगार चाहिए, शिक्षा चाहिए, आरोग्य की सुविधा चाहिए.
Modi also pledged to find a solution to the state's refugee problem. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, not one to be cowed down, Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Omar Abdullah hit out at Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He said the political parties both here at the centre as well as in the state were demanding elections despite the state still recovering from the devastating floods. And those floods happened just barely a couple of months ago. Omar alleged that both the BJP and the Congress, along with the PDP, came together unanimously asking for elections because for them, people's welfare is secondary to political expediency.
लोगों को रिलीफ नहीं, लोगों की रिहैबिलिटेशन नहीं. कलम दवात वाले कांग्रेस और बीजेपी एक ही स्टेज पे आए. कहा जनाब हमें कुछ नहीं, हमने इलेक्शन करवाना है, लोग जाए भाड़ में.
Omar Abdullah raising the political heat, and he's sparing no one. Neither the national parties, BJP and Congress, nor his main provincial rival, the PDP. He's accused all 3 of ganging up to impose elections on the state, even when people were still recovering from the fallout of the devastating floods. Hundreds of people were killed and thousands of villages devastated by the worst floods in decades. But even the issue of flood relief has come under the ambit of political potshots. The Prime Minister fired the first salvo by attacking the National Conference government of misusing central government aid. Omar Abdullah had this to say in his defense.
अगर हमने वाकई रियासत को लूटा होता तो क्या लोग हमारे साथ इस तरह होते? क्या बीरवा में मेरा इस तरह इस्तिकबाल होता? मुझे जूते मार के लोग बाहर निकालते. ये इस्तिकबाल देखिए ना, मैं यहाँ से निकल नहीं सकता क्योंकि लोगों को इतना प्यार है.
Another contentious issue between former allies and now foes, the Congress and National Conference, has been the Food Security Act.
ये सही है, मैंने नहीं किया और सोच समझ के नहीं किया क्योंकि अगर मैं फूड सिक्योरिटी बिल यहाँ पे इम्प्लीमेंट करता, कम से कम 20 लाख लोगों से मैं राशन छीन रहा होता. 20 लाख लोग जो आज कवर्ड हैं, वो अनकवर्ड हो जाते.
The five-phase polls begin this Tuesday, the 25th of November. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi was in the other state that's going to polls, Jharkhand, where he addressed two rallies. Pitching votes for the Congress party, he made a scathing attack on the BJP government in the centre. He even took a dig at the Prime Minister's Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, calling it a marketing strategy.
It's the battle for the states in Jharkhand, and a war of words between BJP and Congress is on. After Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi addressed two rallies in Jharkhand today, one in Palamu district and other in Manika.
9 साल से आपने बीजेपी की सरकार बनाई, कुछ नहीं हुआ यहाँ पे.
Rahul Gandhi took a dig at the BJP government for failing to bring back black money within 100 days of coming to power. This just a day after Prime Minister Narendra Modi accused the Congress of dynasty politics.
सिर्फ मोदी जी और 5-6 ब्यूरोक्रेट जो हैं उनके हाथ में पूरी हिंदुस्तान की शक्ति है. और आप कुछ लिख के ले लो. इस प्रकार से हिंदुस्तान कभी नहीं बदला जा सकता. हिंदुस्तान कभी बदलेगा जब आपके हाथ में शक्ति दी जाएगी.
Rahul was also critical of the Achhe Din claims by Modi. Taking on Modi's Swachh Bharat campaign, Rahul went on to say that the whole cleanliness mission is just a marketing strategy.
आपको कहा कि देश को बदलेंगे, सरकार ने आज घर पकड़ा दिया आपको. कहा कि भैया घर लगा, घर लगा भैया, और है क्या? मार्केटिंग है, करोड़ रुपए की मार्केटिंग है, तो टीवी पे भी आता है भैया बहुत अच्छा काम हो रहा है, घर लग रहा है.
Recalling the days of the UPA government, Rahul said that Congress always worked for all sections of the society. He accused the current NDA government of changing all schemes and laws his party had launched for the poor. Jharkhand will go to polls over 5 phases, with first phase of polling on November 25th. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And time now for all the other stories that made the headlines in Nationwide. On the second day of the World Hindu Congress today, Union Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said that women should start documenting their achievements. She further said that modern women were multifaceted and their participation in the country's politics is significant. She also criticized the media for portraying women as a commodity and asked for self-regulation, urging the stakeholders to exercise freedom of choice with a certain sense of discretion. A special train carrying paramilitary forces caught fire near Siliguri in West Bengal. The military personnel were going to Jammu and Kashmir to be deployed for the assembly elections there. Fumes were noticed from the general compartment, and that's when people realized that the train had left the station, and just minutes after that, it caught fire. No casualties have been reported in this incident so far. Continuing his mega birthday bash and turning 75, Mulayam Singh Yadav celebrated his birthday today by cutting a 75-foot-long cake. Prime Minister Narendra Modi wished the Samajwadi Party chief on this occasion. A mega 2-day birthday bash was organized for Mulayam Singh Yadav in Rampur, which is the family bastion in Uttar Pradesh. All right, we're going to take a break here on the program. When we come back, opinion across India is almost unanimous, welcoming President Barack Obama's visit to attend the Republic Day celebrations in January. He's going to be the chief guest. It's a completely different reaction, an expected one in Pakistan. The News Tonight is back right after this. Welcome back. This is the News Tonight. Now, reactions have been pouring in to the proposed visit of US President Barack Obama, who's going to be the chief guest at the Republic Day parade. Our viewers will remember that yesterday on the News Tonight, we broke that story to you, confirming that President Obama had consented to be the chief guest. Now, while here in India, most commentators and political parties have welcomed this as a big diplomatic marker in Indo-US ties, there are some folks in the strategic community who feel that this is simply going to be full of pomp and show, and it'll eventually be shot on substance.
Many are calling it a diplomatic coup for Narendra Modi, getting the most powerful man in the world, US President Barack Obama, to become the first American president to be the chief guest for the Republic Day parade. Obama will also be the only US president in history to visit India twice. Naturally, the BJP is kicked and going to town about it.
It would be a great diplomatic achievement as well as breakthrough if the US President, Mr. Barack Obama, comes as the chief guest of 26th January celebrations. Secondly, India and America are two greatest democracies of the world. In fact, if both of them come together for celebration of democracy, it would be something very historic in the world. Thirdly, it speaks volumes about the goodwill and the reputation that the Indian Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, enjoys worldwide.
Self-sacrifice.
The chief guest at the Republic Day parade will witness a showcase of India's military might. State-of-the-art missiles, tanks, aircraft and submarines will be on display. It will be a great opportunity to cement Indo-US defense ties, which is why some experts feel after the strategic ambivalence of UPA-2, this is course correction under Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
This is the first time that we have a US president who has been invited and who has accepted this particular honor. So the symbolism is really about the bilateral relationship between India and the United States and the kind of importance that both sides are attaching to a relationship that till recently, particularly in the last years of the UPA-2 government, was seen as being in a state of stagnation.
But not everyone is welcoming this warming of relations between the world's oldest and largest democracies. After all, many in our strategic community have reflexively been suspicious of the US and forging close ties with Washington.
I don't think it'll have a major impact. Number one, visit will be this short. Unless ambassadors, people from the State Department and others stay back for a week or 10 days, only then will something happen. Otherwise, it's just atmospherics. And also, this is a lame duck government where the president is in a minority in both the Senate and the House of Representatives.
And that would be the real challenge for the Prime Minister and the diplomatic community to take the relationship beyond the optics and make substantive breakthroughs. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
So while opinion here is almost near unanimous about Obama's visit as the chief guest for the Republic Day celebrations, on the other side of the border in Pakistan, it's a completely different and very expected reaction. Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, in fact, speaking to reporters, saying that he wants the US president to raise the Kashmir issue when he comes to town. Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif has requested Barack Obama to take up this issue with the Indian leadership. He will be travelling to India in January for the Republic Day celebrations. Nawaz Sharif saying the early resolution of the Kashmir issue would bring enduring peace, stability and economic cooperation to South Asia. A statement from his office says, and I quote, Pakistan remains open to the resumption of bilateral dialogue with India, but the onus is on India to create a conducive environment in this regard. It's quite funny, isn't it, that India says the exact same words when it comes to restarting the dialogue with Pakistan, that the onus is on Pakistan to restart the talks. Meanwhile, another set of talks which the world is following very closely, the talks in Vienna to try and find a solution to Iran's nuclear program. Those talks are entering a very crucial weekend. No signs yet of any kind of breakthrough. Just 3 days to go. Monday is the deadline. Iran's top negotiator left back for Tehran to try and make further consultations with the country's top leadership. The US admitting that serious gaps still remain in these talks.
Intense diplomatic talks behind closed doors in Austrian capital Vienna. Delegates are working hard to reach an agreement on Iran's nuclear program. However, significant gaps still remain, says Britain's Foreign Secretary.
We've had a series of useful discussions.
As I said earlier, these are very complex issues, and there's still a very significant gap between the parties.
On Friday, US Secretary of State John Kerry cancelled his plans to leave Austria and held further talks with his Iranian counterpart Javed Zarif. Zarif has left for Iran to make further consultations with Iranian top leadership. Reports suggest that top Iranian and US diplomats are thinking about new ideas to end the deadlock.
امین بشه اون چیزی که ایران ارائه کرده از این انعطاف‌های برخوردار بوده و فکر می‌کنم با این ملاحظه میتونن به یک جمع‌بندی برسن.
Iran has been resisting efforts to scale back its nuclear program for nearly a decade. The United States, the UK, France, Germany, Russia and China reached an interim agreement with Iran in 2013. However, the two sides failed to reach a lasting deal by July as initially agreed and extended the deadline to November 24th. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Staying with the region, US President Barack Obama has approved the expansion of a military mission in Afghanistan till 2015. Now, this move is a bit contradictory because it comes just months after Obama pledged that American troops would remain in the country with just two missions. One is to train the Afghan forces and the other to support counterterrorism operations against al-Qaeda. The New York Times is reporting today that Obama made this decision during a White House meeting with national security advisors in recent weeks. As per the new decree, American forces can execute missions against the Taliban as well as other militant groups who threaten American troops or the Afghan government. However, talking about this report, a senior U.S. administration official said that Obama's top priority is to try and ensure the security of U.S. personnel and that the armed forces will continue to engage in operations of self-defense as well as support of Afghan security forces. And more international stories in Global Buzz. At least 28 people were killed in an attack on a bus by suspected members of the Somali militant group Al-Shabaab in northern Kenya. According to officials, the bus was traveling to the capital Nairobi. It was stopped at the Somali border where non-Muslims were segregated before being killed. The militants reportedly asked the passengers to recite verses from the Quran, and those who failed to do so were shot dead. UN Chief Ban Ki-moon has said that the Ebola outbreak can end by the middle of next year if the world speeds up its response to the deadly virus. He's also warned that despite the virus slowing down in many West African countries, new cases in Mali are a cause for concern. So far, more than 5,400 people have died of Ebola in some of the worst-hit countries, including Guinea, Sierra Leone and Liberia. Government troops attacked protesters opposing Bahrain's first parliamentary elections since the uprising in 2011. Shia opposition groups are boycotting this poll. They say the vote is simply an attempt to establish absolute rule by the Sunni monarch. The majority of the Bahraini population are Shias, but the country is ruled by a Sunni king. And finally, the 19-member Indian cricket team left for the upcoming month-long tour to Australia starting in December. Captain Mahendra Singh Dhoni, of course, will miss the first test in Brisbane because of injury. In his absence, Virat Kohli will take charge of the side. However, Dhoni is expected to return for the second test. India will play 4 tests in Australia. That'll be followed by a one-day tri-series, which also features England. And then, of course, that leads up to the big one-day World Cup in Australia sometime early next year. That's a wrap of the news tonight, this Saturday edition. From me, Zaka Jacob, and the rest of the team, thanks for your time. I'll catch you again Monday night, same time. Have a good week.